Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the meeting of the Merrillville Town Council for today, Tuesday, December 26th at 6:30 p.m. Please stand for our invocation and then remain standing for a moment of silence afterward.
Let's pray. Oh God, our Father, we come tonight with gratitude, reflecting upon the last months, recognizing, God, your hand in guidance and deliverance and in protection. We thank you, Father, for those you have given that specific task. And now, Lord, as we draw things to a close for this year, we do so in an excited way, God, knowing that your hand will continue to guide us. So we continue to seek that wisdom and that knowledge. And for the men and women who lead this community, Father, give them a vision bigger than they are to see what you desire to be done for our families and for our children. Thank you, God, in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Mr. Hardaway, would you lead us in our pledge, please, today?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk Treasurer, would you call the roll, please?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Mr. Hardaway?
Here.
Mr. Minchuk?
Here.
Mrs. Uzelak?
Here.
Mr. Pettit?
Here.
Mr. White?
Here.
And Mr. Bello?
Here.
6 present.
Thank you. Moving on tonight to petitions, communications, acknowledgements, and remonstrations. Tonight we have the AHEPA and Logan's Love donation to sponsor the Ben's Blue Bags for the Merrillville Police Department. I'll call on our police chief, Newsis, to help us with this part of this meeting. Thank you, Chief. Grab one of those right there.
You guys want to come on up? I was approached I received a call a few months ago. We've been trying to put this together for quite a bit. Logan's Love and the HEPA wanted to donate these Ben's Blue Bags to the Merrillville Police Department. This is a very generous donation. And just to give everybody an idea of what the Ben's Blue Bags are for, it's a sensory toys, tools. Would that be the best way to describe them?
Yeah, they're sensory bags for police, fire, and EMS. Merrillville Police was one of the early police departments to go through the training, but never had an opportunity to get the bags. So partnering with Logan's Love, we've been able to make sure that every Merrillville police car or patrol officer will have a bag. The Merrillville Council has been awesome. You guys have been great to work with.
Please introduce yourself. I know who you are, but if you don't mind.
Sorry.
Thank you.
So my name's Lieutenant Matt Kodachek with Crown Point Fire Rescue. I've been here in front of you guys before, thanks to Chief Yurga, where you guys did the Autism Month in the last 2 Aprils.
Right.
And Merrillville Fire, and all you guys have been really supportive of the Ben's Blue Bags. We get to now add the bags on all the Merrillville police cars. So this is a first for us, and working with our close friends with Logan's Love, when Nicole has been
Please introduce yourself.
really amazing to take this throughout Lake County at this point.
Great.
My name is Nicole Reveliotis. I'm Logan's mom, and we started this foundation to enhance special needs community. We wanted to show our support to them. We wanted to give them events. We wanted to work with the first responders and giving them these Ben's Blue Bags. And our first goal was the Tri-Town, and we quickly superseded that goal. And then now our goal right now currently is to have the whole Lake County Police and Fire having these Ben's Blue Bags, which are very important for our first responders to have. We want to thank you guys for letting us come here and present the Merrillville Police with these Ben's Blue Bags. We also want to thank AHEPA for their generous donation of supplying the entire Merrillville Police Force with these bags.
Could you tell us what's inside the bags, please?
Inside the bags is a variety of sensory toys. There is also a communication board, which was created by Matt, and then we also kind of upgraded it just a little bit. We have a therapist on our foundation who did just a little bit, we tweaked it a little bit, and so we added 2 communication boards in there as well. We have dry erase markers, we have noise canceling headphones, and we have an additional 4 fidget spinners. And then there's an inventory sheet, so an officer or the firefighters, when it gets down, they know how and what they need to replenish the bag with. And then also, not only does it come with everything that's in the bag, it also comes with training. So Matt himself is gonna come and train the Merrillville Police, or if it's gonna be the fire, wherever he goes. We're also, you guys, they're gonna get training to deal with the special needs, to deal with autism, to deal with these children, with these people and everything.
That's great.
Thank you.
Anything else to add, Chief?
Just to clarify, I've been on calls before. We've had to deal with people that were involved in an accident, and some of them were autistic and whatnot, and it's extremely difficult to communicate. It is a horrible time in their lives, and having aids like this makes it so much easier for us, and makes it, which is more important, makes it easier for the people that are suffering at that point. So thank you very much.
And have our officers been trained already, Chief?
Yes, we started, and we're gonna get a refresher going.
Yeah, we did
Okay.
about 2 years ago. We went
Yes.
through all the patrol officers over probably a couple-month period. And then with this, they'll be up for about like every 2 years. Plus, it helps cover, they have to do autism training biannually or annually.
Yes, annually.
So it helps cover their law enforcement training hours also.
Well, great. Thank you all very much. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Moving on this evening to the consent agenda, we have the accounts payable register voucher approval for December 26th, the approval of the town council meeting minutes of December 12th, and now the approval of the special town council meeting minutes of December 20th.
So moved.
You have a motion by Mr. Pettit with a second by Mrs. Uzelak for approval of the consent agenda. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on tonight to additional appropriations, I will turn to Town Manager Michael Griffin to help us through this section. Michael?
Mr. President, members of the council, Madam Clerk Treasurer, Town Attorney, this will be done in this fashion for you. As you know, this ordinance pursuant to your rules was introduced at a prior meeting, so it is ready for second reading at the time that the council may wish to entertain it. But what has to happen first is this is a proposed additional appropriation that we've asked for in the Public Safety Fund, also known as the Local Option Income Tax Fund, that will increase the amount of money that is permitted to spend. We need to actually have an additional amount to close out the balance of the year for some commitments that we have made. The council has already said we may. We just have to make this follow along with the paperwork necessary to make that lawful. So it would be in order, Mr. President, at this time for you to confer with the town attorney, to have him review and then recite if he feels it is correct that the proof of publication was in order. And this would be the place for the public hearing to be conducted with regard to this proposed additional appropriation. And then once that hearing is completed, if the council wishes to take it up here, it may, or it may let this ordinance be taken up with the other second reading ordinances that you also have, where it is also listed on your agenda tonight.
Counselor?
The proof of publication appears to be in order and legal, so I suggest that we proceed at this time.
Madam Clerk Treasurer, would you please read into the record the ordinance 23-31 authorizing additional appropriations in the 2023 budget, specifically to Lowett Public Safety Fund?
2331.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Kelly.
Sure. Ordinance number 2331, an ordinance of the Town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, authorizing additional appropriations in the 2023 budget, Lowett Public Safety Fund. Whereas it has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was originally appropriated in the annual budget in the Lowett Public Safety Fund of the town, and whereas the Town Council is aware of the fund currently holds sufficient cash balance to support the requested additional appropriation, now therefore be it ordained by the Town Council of the Town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, that it is hereby provided and ordered for the expenses of the taxing unit The following additional sum of money is appropriated out of the fund named, subject to laws governing the same. The amount requested out of 100 Series Lowett Public Safety Fund Personal Services is $88,194. The amount approved by the fiscal body would be $88,194.
Thank you. Chair, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
A motion by Mrs. Uzelak,
Second.
a second by Mr. Pettit for approval of ordinance 23-31. I believe this is second reading, is that right?
Yes.
Correct.
We will open a floor up to public comment. Is there any public comment on this ordinance 23-31? Yes, sir.
Don Kalabowski, 635 East 92nd Avenue, Merrillville, Indiana. I support the town of Merrillville and its addition for the funds to public safety. Our police department is excellent, and I appreciate the council for continuing and fully supporting our police department and our first responders. The Lake County option income tax is a question that I have, is we're paying a ton of money, close to $2 million out of that fund for the Westlake Corridor expansion that doesn't touch Merrillville. So can't we give more of that money to our public safety officials, give them a raise for the hard work that they're doing versus sending it to God knows where, because I don't know and it's not available on the website. So I would like a full accounting of where the local option income tax is being expended from the town of Merrillville, because we should be giving our law enforcement officers, our first responders, more money for the hard work that they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Anything to
And
add?
that's not a question, by the way. That's a request. Where is the money going?
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Seeing none, back to the council. Discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk Treasurer, roll call, please.
Sure. Councilman Hardaway?
Yes.
Councilman Minchuk?
Yes.
Councilwoman Uzelak?
Here, oh, yes.
Councilman Pettit?
Yes.
Councilman White?
Aye.
And President Bella.
Aye.
6 in favor.
6 in favor, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on tonight to standing and special committee reports, Budget and Finance, Councilor Hardaway.
No report.
Council Affairs, Mr. Pettit.
No report.
Street Department, Mr. Minchuk.
Nothing other than at some point we're gonna have a winter. And when that comes, just be prepared and cooperate with our street department. Thank you.
Elections, Public Relations, and Town Beautification. I did receive notice from Mrs. Neal, and she asked me to update the council on the house decorating contest. We had 18 entries in the holiday home decorating contest. We opened it up for the community to vote on their favorites. We had more than 600 people vote. Thank you to all who participated in the contest, as well as everyone who voted. We're looking forward to next year's contest, and at this time, I'd like to announce that the third place winner is Dorothy Black from 241 West 54th Place. Second place was Michael Carpenter from 3000 West 57th Avenue. And first place goes to Scott Bonesteel, 44 Indian Trail. The winners will be awarded at our first meeting of January, so Mrs. Neal can be here to participate. But these homes are decorated beautifully. Please feel free to drive by. You can get the addresses again off the town website. Okay. Environmental Affairs, Mr. White.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to talk about the fact that there is a new variant of I don't want to say the COVID virus, but it's a new variant out there, and I've been watching that. Hopefully, people will take some safety in that. I know Marge normally will say some things about that variant, so.
Just that the flu is going around
Yes.
heavily at this time now.
Yes.
So people should get their flu shot if
Yes.
they didn't get it.
Secondly, this particular new virus is out there. It's moving. It hasn't been identified in this area as far as I know of, but it's out there. Everybody's coughing and sneezing. and I don't know what that is right now. I think even our clerk treasurer had some coughing and sneezing going on, so it's not a good thing. And I know some people that wanted to attend the meeting tonight couldn't attend it because they're not feeling well as well. So hopefully sometime next year, the town will keep an eye on that and try to respond to whatever situation that arises. Thank you.
Thank you. Personnel Policy and Employee Benefits, Mr. Hardaway.
No report.
Public Safety, Mr. Minchuk.
No report at this time.
Economic Development, Mr. Pettit.
No report.
Parks and Recreations, Mrs. Uselak.
No report at this time. Everything's in order with the parks.
Thank you. Abandoned and Blighted Properties, Mr. Hardaway.
No report.
The Dean and Barbara White Community Center, Mr. Pettit.
Mr. President, at this time, I'd like to make a motion for a waiver of fees for the Lake County Democratic Central Committee to use the Mike Anderson Event Center at the Dean and Barbara White Community Center for the precinct committee members caucus to elect a successor to fill the vacancy due to the resignation of Senator Eddie Melton.
Second.
And Mr. Pettit, that date's going to be
January 3rd.
January 3rd.
January 3rd. Thank you, Mr. Hardaway.
Mr. President.
Motion's amended. Okay.
Was there a second, Mr. Pettit?
I think Jeff did.
Mr. Minchuk, thank you for your second. Mr. White.
Yeah, how much are we waiving? And in terms of the fee, how much is that we're waiving?
Lawrence, do we know?
Yeah, it was around $250 for labor to set up and to tear down the tables and chairs, and that was the only amount.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, Mr. Pettit.
Anything else, Torrance, from the center?
Nothing from the center right now. I will have a report later on about update on parks.
Thank you. Moving on to special projects, Mr. Hardaway.
No report.
Department and commission reports. Mr. White, do you have something from the Lake County Solid Waste Management District?
No report.
NERC, Mr. Hardaway.
No report.
Stormwater Management, do we have anything from Matt? Mr. Griffin?
Mr. President, I'll have something during my remarks, but there's nothing to report that isn't already in my report that I filed with all of you today.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
In fact, Matt had quite a bit he provided for your report, I saw. Yes, Mr. White?
Yeah, I was just kind of stepping back a few minutes. I was looking at the attorney fees for the stormwater. Is that for just 1 month, or is that for 4 months or 8 months? It's like $1,900.
Do you have that invoice, Kelly?
We might. Angela, do we have the invoice from Stormwater for their attorney? They may not send us over the, I don't know if they
I
summarize
don't
it
think they
or
would do it monthly.
because it's,
They don't have that much.
but we might have it.
Leonard, I'll just add during the void here while we look it up that we're the secondary approval of the expenditure because it's already been approved by the solid waste
I just
district
forgot to
board,
ask,
yeah.
what period of time that actually covered. That's
Yeah.
pretty much. That's fine. We can move on, Mr. Mayor. Mr.
You'd be okay if we get that information?
Later, yes.
Okay,
Just mail it to me.
We have it.
okay. The South Shore Visitors on Convention Authority, the only thing that we'll report tonight is that the chairperson has resigned, David Uran. So the board will be looking for a new chairperson for that group, and I'm sure we'll be hearing from Deanne Patina as soon as more information is available.
Mr. President, you said Davy Rand resigned from that
He
position?
did, yes, just last week.
It's a good paying position now. Must be doing okay. Thank you.
Fire Territory Board, Mr. Minchuk.
Yes, they're currently trying to schedule a meeting for mid-January. We'll report back after them.
Okay. Department reports, Torrance Price, Parks Department.
Good evening. Had the pleasure and opportunity to talk with Mr., give me my notes together, I'm sorry, Mr. Mark McLaughlin from RDG Planning and Design. Basically, this is about our 10-year our comprehensive plan for the parks. So there's been a lot of talk sporadically about new signs, those type of things. So he provided a actual physical report of all the parks facilities. So what we will do is, thanks to James Sanders and Mike Neal, we already had a plan in place of some things that need to be fixed and things that we need to take care of. We will then transfer that information onto here, put a timeline on there, put the needs on there. And this is on top of all the things that have already previously been done for the parks. We know that we've been able to put new shelters out for a couple of our parks, and we've also done some additional things in a great partnership with our police department. We've worked on putting new poles up, new wiring up at some of the parks that allow us to put technology up, cameras up, so we can supervise our parks a lot better and provide safety for all the residents, and actually make sure all the hard work and money that's been invested in there stays up. So we'll have a chance to keep an eye on all of that. Also, our trail, which is one of our heaviest populated and participated trail, we are working on the tunnels and working on wiring so we can have lighting in those trails. Excuse me, not in the trail, but underneath the tunnel. So right now, our wiring is a little dated, so we're working on getting that fixed so it's not so dark when residents are riding their bikes underneath there. So all of that will be included into this Parks Facilities Plan for Merrillville. Town Manager Griffin will have a copy of this, and this will be passed along to Mr. McLaughlin and his group. Thank you.
Torrance, does that include the new bike trail going into your trail information?
This will not include the new bike trail. This is just standing things that we're looking forward to for the next 5 to 10 years of putting together a new report.
Do you have any more information on the new bike trail?
I do not with me at this time.
Sorry, Don, you have to wait to the end when we do public comment. Is that okay? Okay. Thank you. Sure. Police Department, Chief Nueces.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to announce, we're going to be making some announcements at the beginning of the year. I'm hoping at the next meeting about adjustments that we're going to be making to our police department and how we do our operations. We are looking at using more and more technology now that we have access to try and provide better services and be a more proactive police department. I'll have further details on that beginning of the year as to what we're doing. Other than that, I don't have anything else. I just urge everybody to be safe this upcoming holiday, and hope everybody has a happy new year.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Hardaway, did we need to make a motion for the drone purchases? I know you got a lot of
Yeah, I thought
positive.
we done all of that.
I'm sorry?
I thought we'd done that. Because what was it, how much was it that we made for you guys? Tristan, do you remember?
We had talked about adding it to our spending plan, but I don't think we actually went ahead and got firm quotes and then approved it, Rich.
My recall of the emails, maybe a week and a half ago or a week
Yeah.
ago, were about 125,000
How much?
total, 125.
Yeah, I make a motion that we allocate 150,000, not to exceed 150,000.
Okay.
ARP funds for the drones program for the police department.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hardaway, second by Mr. Minchuk, to approve up to $150,000 for the drone program that the chief presented to us. Is that the right figure, Chief, the 125?
Yeah, it's not just the drone program, it's also that FARO program where it's the,
Right.
for accident reconstruction and crime scene reconstruction as well.
Right.
Yes.
Is 150 enough?
Yes, sir.
Big part?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then my motion stands.
Thank you, Rich. Questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, Chief.
Thank you.
Anything else to report? Thank you.
Mr. President.
Mr. White.
Yeah, I just want to reach out to Costas, the chief, and tell him that, excuse me, it's an amazing job you're doing out there. I see your guys out there being proactive, and I just want to recognize that and let you know we did see I feel that Maryville is a lot safer. With you as the chief, not saying it didn't happen prior to you, but can actually see those things happening, and I just want to let you know I appreciate what you do for our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Planning and Building Department, Sheila Shine.
The Planning and Building Department is in the midst of renewing our contractors' renewal for their licenses. We have over 14,000 contractors that we're renewing. We're also preparing our end of the year report, and we're also setting our goals for the upcoming 2024 year. Thank you, Mr. President.
Were you able to exceed $2 million this year?
We are very close. We will know at the end of, in a couple of weeks here. We're very, very close to 2 million.
That's remarkable. Nice job. Street Department, Kevin Markle, our assistant.
Not Steve King, not today. With everybody getting ready for Christmas the past couple weeks, our department's been really quiet, so there's really nothing to report on. I mean, we're basically just doing spring work right now because of the weather. I mean,
Mr. Minchuk advised that the snow plows are ready to go and
yes.
installed and just waiting.
Probably
Everything's ready if the snow ever shows up.
March. I hope so.
April.
That'll be okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin. Interim Town Manager, Mr. Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council, Madam Clerk Treasurer. You do have my monthly report. This is a compilation and satisfaction of Section 239.1 of the Municipal Code for you to get a monthly report from the department heads and staff. You have it to read. I did want to call your attention to two matters. First, in his absence, I want to celebrate Mr. Lake as our Stormwater Management Executive Director. He made a presentation to the Indiana Department of Environmental Management earlier this month. Actually, it was late last month for a statewide program launch of the IDEM Clean Community Program. For him to be invited to make a presentation on that program launch, I'm very proud when our department heads do that. In a prior month, we had our park director also do the same thing for his colleagues for the Indiana Association of Parks and Recreation. And I just want to remind you that we'll be honoring some things this evening. But Mr. Price, owing, not because it was unbidden, Mr. President. Unbidden means we did not ask for this. But somebody really wanted Mr. Price and was willing to give him the kinds of things that would make him closer to his wife's family, and he loves his wife. And so he'll be leaving us at the end of this week. It will be keenly felt. I hope a little of him stays with us because I've really enjoyed working with him, and he'll be very missed. But I thought we should recognize the fact that he's done a good job for the town of Merrillville and that we will be seeking to advertise for the position as soon as we can. But we wanted to thank him for the good service he's given. He's been quietly doing all of his work, having made us know this a week and a half ago already. But I did want to bring that to the council's attention. And I thank the council unless there's a question you have of me.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Good luck to you, Torrance. Moving on this evening to our general orders. First reading ordinances, ordinance 23-34. It's an ordinance of the town of Merrillville, providing that the zoning ordinance of the town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, be amended by changing the established C3 Highway Commercial Zoning District and R2 Residential Zoning District to a PUD, Planned Unit Development Zoning Classification. Ms. Shine, anything to add?
No, this is just a ordinance of a planned unit development that was passed at our plan commission meeting, and now they're seeking to have the ordinance changed. It is for a storage facility that, Mr. Anderson, would you like to add?
Sure. I'm Mark Anderson, 9211 Broadway. I'm here with Tom Fitzpatrick of Storage of America. Yes, we're here with respect to the facility at 7300 East Lincoln Highway. This would be for mini storage units, the 4 phases, essentially. The first phase would have about 52,100 total square feet of area with about 8 buildings, with units ranging in size from 5 by 5 to 10 by 30 feet, all of them on concrete slab. Looking forward, I think, getting going next year, if everything's, if the approvals are in place. I can tell you that we've been working back and forth with engineering. Final comments were given back as to the SWPPP, the stormwater prevention and pollution, and I think we're in good shape with respect to that. We're here to answer any questions that you may have.
And Mr. President, this was passed by the Plan Commission on December 5th of this month.
Did the Plan Commission discuss, Sheila, the fact that we're seeming to get a lot of petitions for storage units or storage projects in the town?
Yes, we did. Councilman Pettit can attest that we always bring the amount of storage that's coming into the town up to the Plan Commission. And
Mr. Pettit or Mrs. Uselak, anything to add?
Mr. President, this location happens to be in Ward 6, and as Mark and Tom know, and for the record, under advice of Joe, I am going to declare a conflict of interest. I have a fiduciary interest with the property owner that has a Lamar billboard that receives annual land rental, which I wrote the lease, Mark. So at this time, I'm going to abstain from the vote, even though it's in my ward.
Motion to approve ordinance 23-24.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Minchuk. The chair will recognize Mrs. Uselak for a second for approval of ordinance 23-34. Open for discussion.
At this time, I think we have a lot of warehouses coming into Merrillville, and for some reason, we do approve them because we do not want the land, the property to sit empty. So right now, we're in a dilemma with a lot of warehouses coming into Merrillville, my opinion.
One of the discussions we've had, Mr. President and members of the council, and this goes back to when Rich and I first got on the council, we did have a moratorium on duplexes for a point. Remember, Rich, where we were really getting inundated with the duplexes? And I'm not sure if that's the proper channel, Joe. You and I have talked about that, about not, do we make a policy statement? Do we instruct Ms. Shine? How do we handle these things? We're just going to have to handle them on the floor as they come. And you can rattle them off. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
They're absolutely all over the place in every single one of our wards. And where's the market demand gonna, I guess that's not for this council to determine. Unfortunately, what we don't need to see, though, is these popping up and future councils down the road, 10, 15 years when we're not here, and they're vacant because the market's dried up or the market's hit a snag. That's the only concern. And how do you rehab these kinds of projects?
Well, we waited almost 2 or 3 years when Strack moved out on Taft Street, Strack and Van Til. So the attorney contacted Jeff Minchuk, that was in his ward, and after 2 or 3 years, I guess we decided to let it go. We were having empty property sitting there. So we are in a dilemma at this time with the warehouses, my opinion.
Any other discussion?
Just a quick note. I know at the Plan Commission, we had a really in-depth conversation in reference to these storage facilities. And it does seem like there's quite a few popping up that want to develop here in town. And not just here in town, throughout the whole Northwest Indiana area. Another thing to keep in mind that rental properties are now up everywhere in Northwest Indiana too. And with the elevation of rental properties and even developing brand-new rental properties and subdivisions in the area comes storage facilities and rental storage facilities as well. So I don't think it's going to slow down at all. So you just going to have to monitor it and keep it at bay.
Thank you. Anything else, council? Hearing nothing else, this is a first reading ordinance. Madam Clerk Treasurer, call the roll, please.
Sure, certainly. Councilman Hardaway?
Yep.
Councilman Minchuk?
Yes.
Councilwoman Uzelak?
Yes.
Councilman Pettit?
Abstain.
Councilman White?
Aye.
And Councilman Bella?
No.
4 yes, 1 abstention.
4, 1, and 1. Motion carries, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to ordinance 2335. It's ordinance of the town of Merrillville, again, making changes in the zoning ordinance by amending to changing the established C3 highway commercial zoning district to a PUD planned unit development. Ms. Shine, anything to add?
This is the same storage facility owner that's coming to us at a different location. This one is located on 1213 West US Highway 30, and they're asking to have a PUD for a storage facility. This was also approved by the Plan Commission December 5th, 2023.
Thank you.
This-
It's your pleasure, counsel.
That's
Motion
correct.
to
I
approve
just-
2335. Second.
Excuse me one second, Mr. Anderson.
Sure.
A motion by Mr. Minchuk, second by Mr. Hardaway. Mr. Anderson.
I just was going to say, we work closely with the Plan Commission on this development. In particular, the initial thought was to have, this is a very long and narrow strip of land, just to have self-storage, but the Plan Commission had indicated that they'd like to see something more than that. And so we worked on several rounds of drawings and renderings of an office, a warehouse facility that is along Route 30, right next to the Arthur Murray Dance Studio. So we've come up with I think it worked for the Plan Commission, and they were happy with it, with office warehouse in the front, and then only in the back would be the self-storage units that were, again, on this very long and narrow parcel.
Many of our tenants, they run businesses. This is more of like an incubator type business, an office where you have like maybe a electrical contractor or a plumbing contractor where he needs some storage in a place to put his truck because he doesn't want to park it in the residential neighborhood or just can't because of ordinance. But then also has to have some office space, a restroom and things of that nature. So we've tried to create some flexibility, and this is we're stepping out of our box a little bit with it, but there's a business program in the Indianapolis area called RISE. I don't know if anybody is familiar with that, but it's more of, it's a kind of a combination between warehousing and storage that allows incubator businesses to take off. So this is kind of our beginning of that to bring to the table at this location, to bring at least a business up in front instead of you don't having the storage up here at this particular location. So we're excited about bringing this type of a product to the town of Merrillville, and like to move forward with it.
Great. Discussion from the council? So because of your willingness to change the front, this is in my district, and the narrowness of the land, which I can't imagine what else could even be built there, to be honest with you, I will support this project. But as far as future storage units, council and the Plan Commission need to have a very serious discussion, and we'll do that, so.
Yeah, we've identified very serious drainage problems associated with this project as they exist today.
Yeah, so you really are going to improve that part of the project.
We won't be able, obviously, we won't be able to solve every issue with drainage, but what we will do is alleviate a lot of the issues that are happening at the location. There's a lot of stormwater coming off the subdivision, there's stormwater coming from the west, and then it's going into a small little ditch that's filled in most of the time with dirt in a parking lot. So hopefully, with these things, we're going to alleviate like 80% of all the problems that are happening out there in our neighborhood.
Ms. Shine, did Mr. Lake review this project?
He did. He worked, Mr. Lake, as well as John Dykstra and Bob Zaney with Robinson Engineer, to work with the gentleman that is next door, that's next door to the project, that came during our first meetings, talking about the drainage that comes from Sedona and the drainage that comes over there. So our engineers have been working, as well as Matt Lake, have been working with that stormwater program with them to help alleviate that water.
Okay, great, thank you. Anything else from the council? Roll call, please.
Sure. Mr. Hardaway?
Yes.
Mr. Minchuk?
Yes.
Mrs. Uzelak?
Yes.
Mr. Pettit?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Aye.
Mr. Bella?
Aye.
All six in favor.
Thank you.
6 in favor, motion carries, gentlemen. Moving on tonight to another first reading ordinance 23-36. It's an ordinance of the town of Merrillville petitioning and adopting an addition of certain lands to the Merrillville Conservancy District for the purpose of obtaining sanitary sewage and disposal services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Minchuk with a second by Chair recognize Mr. Hardaway.
I can explain this one if you want.
Sure, go ahead, Jeff.
This happens to do with Southmore Park in my ward. I've been waiting 2-3 years for this motion, for this ordinance. Finally, it just come through. I'd like to say hats off to Joe. He's been on top of everything as soon as it came to him on this project. Just kind of dragging their feet on the other legal end, but I'm not going to get into that. So if we could please pass this ordinance and keep it moving. I know it's going to come for a second reading. We have to go through the process, Joe, or can we?
Well, you can vote to go ahead and expedite the process if you're doing tonight. So that would be up to the council.
Absolutely. I think, the people in the subdivision have been waiting way too long for this.
Yeah.
And they've got like failing septics and you even had some people had to live in, hotels because of their service, so.
Any other comments from the council? Hearing none, Madam Clerk Treasurer, roll call, please.
Mr. Hardaway?
Yeah.
Mr. Minchuk?
Yes.
Mrs. Uzelak?
Yes.
Mr. Pettit?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Aye.
And Mr. Bella?
Yes.
6 in favor.
6 in favor, motion carries. Chair recognize there a motion to suspend the rules to read this on second reading. Would that be
So moved.
Second.
Correct.
A motion by Mr. Pettit, second by Mr. Minchuk to suspend the rules tonight to read ordinance 23-36 on second and final reading. Madam Clerk Treasurer, roll call, please.
Mr. Hardaway?
Yes.
Mr. Minchuk?
Yes.
Mrs. Uzelak?
Yes.
Mr. Pettit?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Aye.
Mr. Bella?
Aye.
6 in favor.
6 in favor, that's unanimous. We will suspend the rules to read ordinance 23-36 on second reading tonight.
Motion to approve 2336.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Minchuk with a second by Mr. Hardaway to approve 23-36 on second reading. Questions or comments by the council? Hearing none, is there any public comment on this ordinance tonight? Does the record show there's no public comment? Back to the council. Hearing none, Madam Clerk Treasurer, roll call, please.
Mr. Hardaway?
Yes.
Mr. Minchuk?
Yes.
Mrs. Uzelak?
Yes.
Mr. Pettit?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Aye.
And Mr. Bella?
Aye.
Unanimous. 6 in favor.
6 in favor, motion carries. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you,
Moving on.
council. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Moving on tonight to ordinance 23-32, I believe, right? We did 31, right?
Yes, correct.
Thank you. 32, it's an ordinance of the town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, adopting the town of Merrillville food and beverage tax.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Pettit with a second by Mrs. Uselak for approval on second and final reading of the food and beverage tax. This was vetted pretty thoroughly at our December 20th meeting. We had a public hearing at that time. And is there any other comments from the council? Hearing none, is there any public comment on the second reading ordinance to establish a 1% food and beverage tax? Please state your name and address for the record.
Eric January, 3031 West 58th Avenue. And I know this is a procedural matter, but I just want to voice my objection to the timing of it for several reasons. One, the residents are primarily going to pay this tax. Number two, I think that a lot of the reason that we are asking for this 1% tax is because we haven't necessarily been the most disciplined town when it comes to the money that we're given. For instance, the local area income tax, which Don talked about. We need a full accounting of that. And me as an incoming treasurer, that's one of my first priorities. I've already talked to the people at the RDA so we can figure out exactly how much of our money is going to this local option income tax, because it's not an option for us, from what I understand. Once we pass that regulation or ordinance giving away over 20% of our money, we're locked into this for about 20 years. And it's causing a deficit in the town. And I'm also concerned about just how we're doing things casually. This political event that's coming up at the community center. There's a hard cost to that, and we're just giving it away to the political organization that probably has the money to pay for it. And that's costing us, and that's just transferring the cost from the residents to the residents from somebody else. So I'm really concerned about that. And then just Boys and Girls Clubs, the 10-year tax abatements, there's just a number of things that I think that we can do better And also, we can work with other governmental units. One of the primary reasons for this 1% tax is to expand the Merrillville Community Center, which I think is a great job. I got to give you all hands down just for doing it, because I think the community is certainly benefiting from it. But at the same time, when it comes to expanding that facility, I've lived in communities where the governmental agencies like the school board, the parks, they all work together. We live, the community center is directly across the street from the high school. It's got a state-of-the-art field house. There's no reason for us to be building more basketball courts when we can work with them and work with the Ross Township board and just do some things and use the resources that we have without imposing an additional burden on the taxpayers of Merrillville. So that's my objection. Then also, we've got a new council coming in January. The dynamic of the town council is going to change. The vote may be different when you got different people in the audience that may vote. So I object for a number of reasons. I know that you all are pushing this for whatever reason, but right now, I just don't think it's the right time to pass this ordinance.
So Kelly, have we gotten in trouble with State Board of Accounts in the last 4 years with finances from the clerk treasurer's office, or is everything balanced and been going okay?
Everything's balanced and been okay. We have not really been, we've had some comments about internal controls, but nothing, no substantive
Okay.
issues in terms of our.
It's not, no longer named.
Don, would you please wait till you're up at the podium, and that way we can
Sure.
hear you through the speakers?
Sure.
Thank you.
No problem.
Right. So, Councilman Bella, or President Bella, to answer your question, although we haven't had anything in the past, just in terms of town finances, what I'm really concerned about is where the town is going. And this 1% tax is certainly going to be a shot in the arm, but we still at the same time have to exercise some sort of discipline so that we can make sure that the town is moving in the right direction in the long term. Because just because we're able to get by, we have a low tax rate, but our tax rate could actually be lower if everybody was contributing to the taxes that's in the town of Merrillville. And not, say, for instance, having a 10-year tax abatement, which, I adamantly oppose because maybe a 3-year tax abatement, but a 10-year tax abatement, that's just too much. We're taking on the business's risk if they were to go out of business.
Thank you.
Right.
Don?
Good evening again, Don Kalabowski, 635 East 92nd Avenue, Merrillville, Indiana. I am against this board, this legislative body, approving this taxation on our residents because it will cost me and our residents of the town of Merrillville. I think it was very deceptive that this Senate bill was passed that lingered upon another community outside of Northwest Indiana, and Merrillville was attached. Please do not deny that fact. That happened. So we're implementing a tax to businesses for service-oriented, which is majority small businesses in the town of Merrillville, when we have our adjacent communities, Cherville and Crown Point, are thriving on service businesses that are small businesses, and we're going to tax those businesses. Ultimately, due to economics, that tax will come upon the consumer. Meanwhile, the business owner has to pay that tax. Small business owners have to pay that tax.
Yeah, that's not how it works, sir.
Not how it works.
It's not how it works at all.
I understand exactly how it works, Mr. President.
Okay.
I understand exactly how it
Well,
works.
the businesses
I've
don't
also,
pay tax.
I've also read the
The
ordinance.
business collects the tax for us from the users. They will actually get some refund back from
Don't
the state.
smoke and mirrors me, Mr.
It's not smoke and
President.
mirrors, Don. Talk facts.
I understand the facts. I understand how taxation works. I understand
Okay.
where
Well,
the
you're not
money
stating
goes and
it
where it
correctly
comes
then.
back
You understand
into
it.
the town of Merrillville.
Okay.
Can you tell me that then? If you want to argue with me, can you tell me how this transaction happens? Somebody goes to a restaurant, they pay. Where's the money come?
It'll be added to your receipt. Just like your 7% sales tax.
Follow the money.
It'll
Where's
be
it go?
another,
Where's it
it'll be
go?
another 1%.
Where's it go?
Well, it goes down to the state, it comes back to the town.
No, it goes back to the county. You're wrong.
No, it doesn't. It comes directly to the town of Maryville through the clerk
You are,
treasurer's office.
this legislative body, if this is approved, is hurting small business in the town of Maryville. It's attracting businesses to the adjoining
Increased
communities,
tourism.
which is attracting other property investments that go against what I pay to be a resident in the town of Maryville. It goes against what we fund, public safety, first responders. It takes away revenue. It doesn't add revenue. And there's no distinct avenue of where these revenues are going to be expended outside the Senate bill that says parks and recreation and tourism.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I know you're not going to answer anything or
Well, Don,
respond to
there's a whole
anything.
page devoted on our town website as far as.
I read it.
ideas of where the money.
I've read it.
Well, then you should know where the money may be spent.
May be
Comes into the
spent.
town. Yeah,
I will
Has to be
challenge
approved.
this legislative body
okay.
to be diligent on where those dollars are
Well,
spent.
we will
And
be.
those dollars should be spent, not on swing sets, but on the people who put their lives on the line every day.
Thank you.
Where our Lloyd is not going. It's going for a train that's never going to come.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Eric, I'm sorry. Eric, we can't do
I
that.
just want to add this. The thing that Don was saying, technically, what he's saying is going to put the town at a competitive disadvantage. We'll be paying a higher sales tax than every other community around here. So before we propose just adding additional taxes, it will be 8%, and 1% may be insignificant to most people. But when you start talking about some of these big box retailers, if they start noticing the decline in their sales, they may pack up and move over to Hobart and just cross the street.
Well, so big box retailers wouldn't be affected by this at all.
No, it's food and beverage. Any prepared food that these big
Right.
box retailers are selling will be affected with this tax. And a lot of these, I don't want to mention any names, but I want to give
They're not affected
anybody
at all.
ideas.
They're not
But
affected at all.
If they have food and beverage,
I don't know what to,
food and beverage, they will be affected.
I take that as an invitation to address you,
sure, go ahead.
Council President.
Go ahead, Don. I'll give you a minute more, okay, please.
You can give me any time you want. You give me 10 seconds. It doesn't matter. I live here,
Sure, I do too.
all right? I live here. I spend money here. I support our first responders here. I respect and support my council member here.
Maybe get
I have
to
a
the point.
right to come here
Okay.
to speak.
Absolutely, sir.
This will put Maryville at a disadvantage. It will cost people in Maryville. It will take people who live in Maryville to go to Crown Point and move outside the community. And it does disparage the new incoming elected officials who should have a right to weigh this issue. And in finality, whereas I know LSA, I'm sure, did a report to the General Assembly to come up with the $1.8 million revenue growth that is anticipated. That came through LSA, I am sure, Legislative Services Agency. Did the town of Maryville look at how that would hurt existing businesses? How that would, what that revenue matter would, I'm sorry, Joe, did I go over my time?
Just please finish up, Don. That's okay. Go ahead.
Well, this is a public meeting, a public
Well, it is,
comment
but we
was
time
made.
it, of course, but go ahead. Please finish up.
Did the town of Maryville do a study to show what the economic impact would be to the residents and to the businesses if you impose this tax?
Well, we
That's
had
a question.
letters of support from a lot of area
From the Chamber of
restaurants.
Commerce? Did you get a
lot
letter
of-
from the Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, we did.
We voted on it, Don. I'm on the board of directors.
I'm
of the
talking
chamber.
to the president of the council.
Yes, we did.
Sean,
Yes.
so I don't know if you want to go out of order. I'm asking the president, who I'm addressing, did the town legislative body receive a formal letter from the Crossroads Chamber that represents the town of Maryville
Yes, we did.
of recent?
No, we did when it was passed at
Of
the
recent.
state. When it was passed at the state. It was a letter of support for the state legislators.
Did the town of Maryville My question, sir, you're a smart man. Did the town of Merrillville receive a letter from the Chamber of Commerce that represents the town of Merrillville in full support of this legislative action by the local body
We did in May, yes.
in May of
This year.
2023?
That would be this year, yes, sir.
Okay. Is that public?
Yes, of course it is.
It's not on your website.
Well, we don't post everything on the website, every document that flows through the office here.
So I have to trust in you.
No,
and
we'll
I
get
do.
You know, we'll send
I
it to you,
do.
Don.
You're a good man.
Why don't you
I do.
give your email
I
address
can do a lot of things.
to our town
I
manager,
trust
and
you.
we'll send it to you. Anything else?
No, this isn't a debate between you and I.
No, I know.
This is an issue of implementing a tax to the residents in the town of Merrillville
Well, it's
and
not-
to the
it's not- it's
businesses,
not just to the residents. It
businesses
has
who
to-
have to pay that tax.
It's not just to the residents, it's anyone who comes to our town to, use our restaurants.
I said the businesses.
Well, the businesses aren't paying the tax. The patrons are. No,
Okay.
that's how it works, Don.
I understand
It doesn't
exactly
affect
how
the business.
taxation works, sir.
Okay. Well, thank you for your comments tonight.
Thank you for having, me
Sure,
here.
no problem, sir. Any other public comment?
Call for the vote, Mr. President.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Mr. White, we called for the vote here, so. Did you want to add something, Leonard? I do want to add for the residents and people in the audience that the new council members coming on board, we did survey them, and they all supported this. So just FYI. Mr. White?
How's that work?
We just asked them what the hell they would vote, that's all. It's not illegal to ask them that. Yeah, really, Mr. White.
Mr. President, are we on our discussion area right now?
No, I'm just allowing you to speak, we're going to vote. Mr. Pettit called for the vote.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Madam Clerk Treasurer, roll call.
Councilman Hardaway.
Yes.
Councilman Minchuk.
Yes.
Councilwoman Uzelak.
Yes.
Councilman Pettit.
Yes.
Councilman White.
No.
And Councilman Bella.
Aye.
5 in favor and 1 opposed.
I'm in favor, motion carries. Moving on to ordinance 23-33, it's an ordinance of the town of Maryville establishing the Food and Beverage Tax Receipts Fund.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hardaway, second by Mr. Pettit. Any questions or comments on this? Hearing none, public comment. Any public comment on us establishing this fund? Seeing none, Madam Clerk Treasurer, roll call.
Mr. Hardaway.
Yep.
Mr. Minchuk.
Yes.
Mrs. Uzelak.
Yes.
Mr. Pettit.
Yes.
Mr. White.
No.
And Mr. Bella.
Aye.
5 in favor, 1 opposed.
5-1, motion carries. Thank you all. Moving on to resolutions, Resolution 23-49. It's a resolution of the fiscal body of the town of Maryville fixing the official faithful performance bond of the municipal fiscal officer pursuant to Indiana Code 5-4-1.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pettit,
Second.
second by Mr. Minchuk. Discussion? Mr. Griffin, anything to add to this?
Mr. President, members of the council, this is a process that many communities go through. Under the statute that was cited tonight, the clerk treasurer has to have their bond fixed by the town council or the city council, depending on that condition. And you have to fix it basically not less than $30,000 and not more than $300,000. And the basis or the metric for fixing that is based on every $1 million of revenue for the first full year that you've reported. That would be as of 2022. According to the AFRA that was filed by the clerk treasurer's office, you're at 64 million. So you just had to get over 10 million and you made that. So the maximum this would fix it at is $300,000. That's consistent with the law. That has to be gotten for the incoming clerk treasurer as well. That has to be paid out of the general fund. That is statutorily required. And before he can take his office, you want to make sure we have this in place so he may take his office. That would be true if Clerk Treasurer Gibson was going to remain, she elected not to run again. And so since Mr. January is coming in, this has to be done. It's housekeeping, but it does require the council to make a fixing of that number based on it determining what the receipts were in the first full year. And since we don't have 2023 fully reported, you have to base it on 2022. And I recommend your favor and adoption of this resolution, please.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, this is a resolution, and a voice vote is appropriate. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? The motion carries. Moving on tonight to Resolution 23-50. It's a resolution of the Town of Merrillville authorizing the office of Vice President of the Town Council pursuant to Indiana Code 36-5-2-9 and Indiana Code 36-1-3.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hardaway, second by Mr. Pettit. Open for discussion.
Mr. President,
Mr. White.
I'm looking at this Resolution 2350. Merrillville been here since 1972, so by us doing this resolution, does that mean that we've been doing it the wrong way for the past 50 years?
No, we haven't had that office for that many years, Mr. White. I'll let Mr. Griffin address that.
Mr. President, members of the council, and Madam Clerk Treasurer, you've adopted Robert's Rules as your parliamentary authority. So what you were calling a vice president really is for many years been really your president pro tempore, which you can actually elect at the time you need it, or you can have it in place in advance of your need. However, you have referred to this person as vice president. After conferring with the council president, it was my recommendation that you do it first by resolution, so you establish the office physically as you'd like it. I also believe that you'll have to follow up with an ordinance because it's an exercise of home rule. You have two statutes in place. Home rule says that you need to do it by ordinance, but there's actually a section of the code dealing with towns that say you can govern the town by passage of resolutions. So I do think that because your intention is to take this up, organizing the town on January 1st, when you do intend to do your inauguration and administer the oath of office for all the elected officers, and that meeting you will elect a president and a vice president, this will give you the authority to do that. It also instructs us to take a look at providing an ordinance in the near term so that that can also be considered by the council to establish the office as part of your regular bylaws, as they're called, in your ordinance. If there's any other question about what I've said that isn't clear, I'm happy to try to clear it up.
Still not clear in the terms that if we already have it in our bylaws. I've noticed on many occasions that Vice President, in the absence of the president, we didn't follow our bylaws. And what I mean by that is because our clerk treasurer is supposed to call for a vote for a pro tem president. That's what our bylaws say. Am I correct?
There is a narrow case in your ordinance
asking,
presently
am I
where that's correct, yes.
Okay.
Mr.
So-
President, I had your permission. I hope to respond.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
So no, I'm just saying, you know, I see a lot of this last minute thing, but for the past 50 years, we've been, if the president's not here, then if the clerk treasurer does not call for a vote for a pro tem, then basically that wasn't according to our bylaws. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Maybe you want to change that or amend your bylaws, but currently that's what's in there. So what I'm asking again, one more time, will that negate what's in the bylaws now by doing this resolution?
No.
Mr. President, thank you.
Well, then how can we do a resolution and it doesn't negate what's in the bylaws?
That's our process, Leonard. We're just doing some housekeeping here. That's all it is. That's what we're doing.
Mr. President, if I may answer?
Sure, yeah.
Your bylaws always have provided for the provision that was described by Councilor White. Many communities, including the one that I served for 30 years and 37 days, had a provision where they created the office of president by statute, vice president by ordinance, and they still had express provisions not unlike your own, where the clerk of the legislative body would convene in the absence of either of those two people being there. So you, as my understanding is, while it's not been the full 50 years, while you've had this language in your bylaws, if the vice president that really was your president pro tem or the president were absent, your ordinance provided for the clerk to call the meeting of the council to put that temporary officer in, but you wouldn't be negating the bylaws to create this. You just would have one more step that would have to go through before it would be necessary for the clerk to take the step that you described, Councilor White, with the permission of the council to address them directly.
Yeah, you know, I've read Indiana codes myself. I'm probably not as well tune with Indiana codes as you, but I've never seen this particular part of the Indiana code when it comes to the vice president.
Well, Mr. President, with your permission, Counselor White, if I gave you the impression that Indiana code referenced that, I apologize. Indiana code references the office of president.
Absolutely.
Home rule references whatever else you'd like.
But you got
You have
Indiana code.
Yes, those codes reference the ability. I think the one code site in there has to do with the code site that the council can govern itself by the passage of ordinances and resolutions. If it's 36.5, I believe it is. That specific section deals with your ability to pass a resolution to govern yourselves. Then 36.13 is about the power you have to operate in home rule, which requires an ordinance. This is being done to facilitate your organizing with the office called vice president during Inauguration Day, with the expectation that there'll be an ordinance shortly to follow to formally amend your bylaws to create that office as well.
Then don't you think we should do that when the new council come in? I mean, while we...
That's what will happen with the new council.
I'm just saying, since that's going to
I believe that
affect
the new
them.
council is the only one that can take up the ordinance to create the office formally, but this council by resolution can create it as well, if it so chooses.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Chair will recognize one nay. Motion carries. Moving on to Resolution 23-51, it's a resolution authorizing temporary interfund loan or transfer pursuant to Indiana Code 36-1-8-4 of the Indiana Code to support cash flow. Mr. Griffin, would you like to preference this one?
Mr. President, members of the council, Madam Clerk Treasurer, if I have your leave, I do see Ms. Hudson of Senator Dalton. She may wish to speak to it. I'm happy to recognize her to do so.
Sure, thank you. Ms. Hudson.
Simply standing by if there were questions, but all three of the funds that are referenced here for the temporary loan are to ensure that the end of the year balances remain positive, as is the wish of both the Clerk Treasurer's Office and the council. It is a practice that is done very often by many cities and towns. We fully expect them to be able to be repaid next year by the revenues coming in available to those funds that receive the loan.
Thank you. I entertain a motion from the council.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pettit with a second by Mrs. Uzelak. Questions or comments?
We do this housekeeping every year, at the end of every year.
We do. Thank you for pointing that out, Kelly. Hearing no other comments, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to Resolution 23-52. It's a resolution of the Town of Merrillville to transfer an appropriation of balances from among major budget classifications in a municipal cumulative capital development fund as requested by the proper officer and forwarded to the Town Council for its action pursuant to Indiana Code 6-1.1-18-6.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mrs. Uzelak and a second by Mr. Pettit. Trista, what are we doing here for $85,000, I see?
Again, end of the year housekeeping matters based on how expenses came in and the line items that are needed to pay them. Health insurance is a major cost for the town, as you're all aware, and this helps to get that bill paid.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to our last resolution tonight, 23-53. It's a resolution of the Town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, reversing in part an authorization to transfer monies within the funds of the Park Department. The Parks non-reverting fund would be decreased by $11,910. The increase goes to the Community Center Gift Fund. The amount is $11,910. The net effect is zero.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Pettit, second by Mrs. Uzelak for approval of this transfer of fund resolution. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Moving on tonight to the American Rescue Plan AP Voucher Register Summary, purchases for December 26, 2023. Mr. Hardaway.
Thank you, Mr. President. The amount of the vouchers for this evening are $17,400.75. I make a motion that we approve this amount.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Hardaway, a second by Mr. Minchuk for approval of the American Rescue Plan voucher. The amount $17,400.75. Questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? That motion carries. Moving on tonight to old business, new business, special presentations. Madam Clerk Treasurer, would you please approach the front of the table? And Mr. Griffin, would you please approach the front?
If you would just stand right here, Madam Clerk Treasurer, please. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I've only been the interim town manager since I've been here. Get it? Thank you. Since September 7th. And prior to that, I served 30 years and 37 days as the clerk treasurer of the town of Highland, where I had occasion first to meet Madam Clerk Treasurer as she assumed her role as clerk treasurer of the town of Merrillville. So I asked permission. This is largely to be done by the council president, but he consented to allow me to say these words to you because she's a colleague, or at least a former colleague, I can say, and it meant a lot to me to have this opportunity to recognize her. As you know, Miss White Gibson has elected, with a B, I have to make sure I say that always, has elected not to return to the office because she elected not to file for re-election. So we think that it's still a big deal to file for office. It's no trifle when you stand before your neighbors and friends and say, I have a set of skills that I would like to present to my neighbors, and I'm willing to use them on your behalf, and I'm even willing to put up with the things that happen to public officers. The compliments you get, rarely, and the criticism you get often, because I feel I'd like to do this for my friends and neighbors. That goes basically for everyone on the dais tonight. But for you, if you'll allow, I'm going to read this citation to you and then a presentation. It's dated December 26, 2023, from the town of Merrillville. As we bid farewell to Kelly White Gibson after 4 years of dedicated service as our clerk treasurer, we take a moment to express our deepest gratitude for her exceptional contributions and steadfast leadership. In the face of the unprecedented challenges presented by the global pandemic in 2020, Ms. Gibson's passionate and committed approach to managing the clerk's office kept our community resilient. Her guidance during these trying times was invaluable, demonstrating a level of dedication that went above and beyond expectations. Despite the challenges posed by the pandemic, she ensured the smooth operation of the town's treasury, even when the doors to the building were locked by the town council during COVID, but they did let you in. Ms. Gibson's legal background proved to be an invaluable asset as she navigated the complexities of municipal clerk treasurer matters. Her efforts to reorganize the clerk's office with an emphasis on efficiency and productivity have left a lasting positive impact on our town's administration. Her advocacy for Merrillville and her associates was evident in her collaboration with the council, showcasing a commitment to the well-being of our community. And while her tenure as our clerk treasurer concludes, we are confident that this is not the last we will see of Ms. Gibson, as we wish her the very best in all her future endeavors. Her legacy of dedication, resilience, and tireless service will undoubtedly endure. And as a token of our sincere appreciation, we present Ms. Gibson with a parting gift, which you'll see in one moment. May it serve as a symbol of our heartfelt thanks for your unwavering commitment to the residents of our community. Thank you so very much, Kelly White Gibson, for your exceptional service, your leadership, and the positive impact you have had on Merrillville. With sincere appreciation, signing on behalf of the entire people of Merrillville and its town council, Rick Bella, town council president, who allowed his town manager as an interim to say these words on his behalf to you. Congratulations and thank you for your good service.
Thank you so much.
You will see that We're celebrating light because the opposite of dark is light. And dark often means when we're not thinking in community, we're not thinking about our neighborliness, a shaft of light is always the way that we can follow to know the best way to go. And so this does acknowledge the Honorable Kelly White Gibson, Merrillville Clerk Treasurer, January 2020 to January 2024. Thank you for your great 4 years. This is yours. It actually has a light bulb, so it'll really work.
Thank you.
And there is one more thing. We also wanted to recognize you with a pin. We give you a magnet one as well. And I was supposed to pin this on you, but will you forbear me? I'm a little too bit shy to do that. So I'm going to rely on you to decide with this magnet, as well as this pin, that recognizes your 4 years of service to us, which we'll enjoy. Madam Clerk Treasurer, thank you. Thank you so very much. And I appreciate that you allowed me to make these words for you. Did you want to offer any words of your own?
How do we do it? Yes.
Yeah, it's just a magnet. You can just put it right behind there, over there, and you'll be good. And I've got the tack for you for another time.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say thank you to all the residents and all the people who supported me, who believed in me as a first-time politician who really, other than being a precinct committee person, had not ever run for office before. And I was overwhelmingly supported by the residents and the voters in the town of Merrillville. I think it's really important for people to get involved in the place where they live. And this is our town. I think it's really important that we know the issues and that good people come to want to run and to be interested. These meetings should be packed. Should be people here all the time knowing what's going on, and they should understand the issues. And I just would encourage anyone and everyone to please be involved, to tell your friends and neighbors to get involved. It's not an easy task because, like you said, this comes with a lot of criticism and it's a lot of difficulty. And, you know, I'm probably sure that you've seen some fighting over time, but I would say that I think with, you know, it's a service that you're doing for other people. And so you have to have a servant's heart. And sometimes that causes you to be passionate, and sometimes that causes you to fight, and you want to, you know, you want to do good for your people and your particular neighborhood and your particular ward and your employees, and you see passions rise. But I really do believe that the people who run for office and the people who are sitting up here want to do a good job for the town of Merrillville. And I hope that in the coming year, even though I'm going to be leaving, I hope that we will come together and do the best job that we possibly can do for all of the citizens of Merrillville, as diverse as it has become. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Mr. White, would you please join us here in front?
Yes, sir.
You don't have to take the lamp.
Okay, I can leave that. Shall I leave this too?
You can take that.
Okay.
As we bid farewell to Councilor Leonard White after 4 years of dedicated service to our town, we reflect with gratitude on the myriad of accomplishments and lasting impact he leaves behind. Councilor White's unwavering commitment to the 7th District has significantly contributed to the betterment of our community. Throughout his tenure, Councilor White has admittedly represented the town as its voice on the Lake County Solid Waste Management District, assuring that our environmental concerns were addressed responsibly and sustainably. His active involvement in various town committees, boards, and commissions, including the Redevelopment Commission, has played a critical role in shaping the upward trajectory of Merrillville. Mr. White's legacy is not merely measured in years served, but in the positive changes he has fostered within our community. His dedication to public service has left an indelible mark, and the impact of his efforts will resonate for years to come. As Councilor White embarks on his new chapters in life, we extend our heartfelt wishes for success and fulfillment. We express our deepest gratitude for his service to the people of Merrillville, a service marked by dedication, passion, and a genuine commitment to community betterment. In recognition of Councilor White's contributions, we present him with a parting gift as a token of our appreciation. May this serve as a reminder of the gratitude we hold for his tireless efforts and the positive changes he has brought about during his time in office. Thank you, Councilor Leonard White, for your valuable service, your steadfast leadership, and the lasting impact you have on our town. With sincere appreciation from the people of Merrillville, signed by me, Rick Bella, Town Council President.
Thank you, Mr. President.
With your permission, Mr. President, I'd like to place the pin on the lapel.
You wouldn't do that to Kelly.
Yes, I would not, no. Not because I didn't intend to, but I was a little embarrassed to do it because she'll do that fine herself. There you go, on your lapel.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I would like to. Can you hear me? Oh, it has been an absolute pleasure to work with this council. There's been some rough times and some great times. I've learned a lot from the council, particularly from the president of the council, of what should and shouldn't be done. But I've had a great time here. One of the things I really appreciated was the passing of the ordinance for myself, but maybe not the ordinance, for 6120 Broadway. It's going to give me a time to continue to be involved in the community. I want to do something great for the community, and I thought that I had to lead by example, and I think that was a great thing to do. I'm watching those things, like Mr. Bella said. I'm watching them come to fruition. I am very happy with what I see. I'm glad that I got a chance to deal with Mr. Torrance and Deputy Police Chief, now the Police Chief. It's been an awesome experience, and I want to thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Minchuk, would you join us down here, please?
I agree with
Today, we stand not only in acknowledgement of Councilor Minchuk's decade-long commitment to the well-being of our community, but also to express our heartfelt gratitude for the indelible mark he has left on the landscape of Merrillville. Councilor Minchuk embarked on his journey with the council 8 years ago, entering through a caucus to fulfill the unexpired term of Carol Miano. In the years that followed, he proved to be an invaluable asset, contributing significantly to the design and development of the Dean and Barbara White Community Center, along with numerous other pivotal town projects. His vision and dedication have been instrumental in shaping the landscape of our beloved town. Outside the council chambers, Councilman Minchuk has devoted over 2 decades of his life to the Lake County Sheriff's Department, serving the residents of Lake County with distinction in various capacities. His tireless efforts have not only enhanced the safety and security of our community, but have also contributed to the overall well-being of the region. As Councilor Minchuk embarks on new journeys and endeavors, we extend our warmest wishes for success and fulfillment. May the same passion and dedication that characterized his service to Ward 3 and the entire town council continue to guide him in all of his future pursuits. To express our profound gratitude, we present Councilor Minchuk with a token of our appreciation, a small but heartfelt parting gift. The gift is a symbol of our deep appreciation for the years of selfless service as he dedicated to the residents of Merrillville. Thank you, Councilor Minchuk, for your unwavering commitment, your tireless efforts, and the positive impact you have had on the lives of those you have served. Your legacy will be threaded within the fabric of our community for years to come. With our deepest appreciation, the people of Merrillville, Rick Bella, Town Council President.
Put it right up there. It will not hit you, I promise. This is for you too. There we go. Thank you. Don't you want to say a couple words? Come on.
Try getting
You're not
away.
shy.
I don't need a mic. I just want to thank everybody. This is a part of my life I'll never forget. I've dedicated my whole life to this town, and I'll still keep going. But senior town officials up here as the faces of the town, we're not the backbone of this town. It's the workers of the town, like Sheila. and her plan commission and the awesome job they've been doing ever since I've been here. Our street department, our police officers, our firemen, the people that are working on the streets every day, they're the backbone of this town, and they're the people we need to support. So thank you, and I appreciate everything.
Next, I'd like to call on Councilor Pettit to join us here in the front. Mr. Pettit has actually served on the town council for the last 20 years. In those 20 years, he has served with Councilor Hardaway. Richard, please join us down here. Mr. Pettit.
Yeah, I don't need a microphone either, Rick. Everybody knows that. They'll probably listen to me. Scary.
It's for the video, though.
It is for the video. Craig, can you hear me? Craig can hear me. Craig's one of my constituents. I would like to, before I read this letter for Rich, Rich and I go back 20 years. We are both Andrean families. We came on the council together. And it's wonderful that we've talked about diversity these last 4 years in strides, and we are going to have a very unique council makeup come next Monday. But I want to remind everybody that on Election Day 2003, diversity hit an all-time high in the town of Merrillville when 2 African-American councilmen were elected to this council, Richard Hardaway and Terrell Taylor. History was made back then. This man has worked tirelessly, and he and I haven't always agreed, right, Rich? We say we agree to disagree.
Exactly.
We've butted heads, but we've always done for the best for the town of Merrillville. And I want to personally thank you for letting me be in charge of the community center. Rich was council president. He asked the redevelopment commission to take over and spearhead the bonding and the design and everything with the community center, and I'll never forget you. You trusted me to do something that was monumental in the town of Merrillville, and I greatly appreciate that. That being said, December 26, 2023, it is with profound sentiment and deep appreciation that we bid farewell to Councilor Richard Hardaway, a steadfast member whose unwavering commitment has graced our town for the past 2 decades. His tenure, which commenced in 2002, has left an indelible mark on our community, punctuated by an astonishing 480 regular town council meetings. Really?
I guess.
Is that right? Wow. An abundance of committee gatherings and numerous special town council meetings. Councilman Hardaway's dedication also extended to pivotal engagements with the Plan Commission and Redevelopment Commission. A true leader, Councilman Hardaway ascended to the esteemed position of council president for several years, steering our town with wisdom and acumen. His collaborative spirit shone brightly as he worked in tandem with Councilors Minchuk, Uzelak, and Pettit, leaving an enduring legacy through the development of the Dean and Barbara White Community Center. Beyond our town borders, Councilman Hardaway faithfully represented Merrillville on the Northwest Indiana Regional Planning Commission for several years, demonstrating his commitment to regional cooperation and progress, concluding his service there as chairman of the board. Other boards include popular and well-known organizations like the Gary Merrillville Salvation Army and Rebuilding South Lake County. Councilman Hardaway's service transcends the confines of municipal government, as evidenced by his active participation in various boards, including the Boys and Girls Club of Northwest Indiana and numerous others. His selfless contributions have touched the lives of many, fostering a sense of community that resonates far beyond our immediate surroundings. As we bid farewell to Councilman Hardaway, let us reflect on the immeasurable impact of his leadership, the countless hours devoted to community service, and the profound influence he has had on the growth and well-being of our town. His departure leaves a void that will be felt by all who have had the privilege of working alongside him. To Councilman Richard Hardaway, we extend our deepest gratitude for your tireless service, your unwavering dedication, and the exemplary leadership you have provided to our community. May your future endeavors be as rewarding as the legacy you have left behind. With heartfelt appreciation, please enjoy these parting gifts as our appreciation for many years of dedicated service. Thank you, Rick Bella, Council President. Congratulations.
Michael, would you explain the gifts?
Yes. Mr. President, members of the council, Councilor Hardaway, you'll notice that you've marked 20 years. That's distinctive. There's no easy way to describe being an elected official, and if you've done it for 20 years, you've earned a little bit more than simply this lamp. So it was the feeling of the committee that put this together that you also had earned this fine chair. And this chair actually is not for you to rest on your laurels. You'll rest on something else as you sit in it, but to contemplate the next steps that you're going to take, as we hope that this doesn't mean that as this chapter closes, that you won't open a new one and ways to serve the people of Merrillville and our community, which I'm confident you will. So we're recognizing all of the people who are constellations in our community for serving on a commission, for serving on the council. That's what the lights recommend, that you're part of the constellation of servants who are servant leaders to the people here. This is in recognition for your durability and your tenure of 20-plus years. And it reads, the Honorable Richard L. Hardaway, Merrillville Town Councilor Emeritus. That's Latin for he's retired from that. And the three ideas that we wanted to evoke with this gift is Councilor Hardaway the friend, Councilor Hardaway the leader, and Councilor Hardaway the exemplar. I hope you'll join us in celebrating Councilor Richard Hardaway.
I think everything's been said, unfortunately. One of the things, and first off, I'd like to thank everyone that supported me throughout the years as I endeavored to do 20 years here in the town. My main goal when I became councilman was to make sure that I leave Merrillville a lot better than I found it. And I think I've done that. I've done that by Boys and Girls Club and the community center. Those were the two things that we sorely needed here in the town, and we were able to accomplish those things with the help of fellow council people. So it's with great sadness, I guess, maybe, and pleasure that I ride off into the sunset. I thank Michael for his kind words, Councilman Bella for his leadership, and the rest of the council for everything that they've done to kind of like keep me on the straight and narrow. It's been a labor of love. I appreciate it, and I look forward to some other things that I've got in the hopper to get started next year. So I'm not going away. I'll still be around. I'm leaving you guys in good shape. I got Councilwoman Keisha Hardaway that will take over Ward 7. So there will always be a Hardaway around that you can call. Thank you.
So we do have a pin for 20 years of service at Town of Merrillville. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So we are still a municipality, so we don't have filet mignon, but we do have a cake. And so we invite you all to stay after and have a piece of cake and a beverage and help us celebrate these officials who are leaving us. Thank you very much, everyone.
Oh, I'm trying to go already.
You still serve until New Year's Day.
Okay.
Okay, thank you all. We are now open for public comment. Please approach the podium, state your name and address for the record, and we allow 3 minutes for comments.
Don Kalabowski, 635 East 92nd Avenue, Merrillville, Indiana. I hope that I'm not wrong in that a Resolution 2353 transferred funds from a specific fund in the Park Department to the general fund?
It was from the Parks Non-Reverting Fund going into the Community Center Gift Fund.
But the council has just passed an ordinance to raise a tax, 1% food and beverage tax to support the department that's transferring funds out of their budget. I find that a bit ironic that you feel the legislative body feels the need to implement another burden on business, small business, by the way. It's not big box business, small business, restaurants and bars and constituents, when you already have the funding necessary to implement the programs that exist. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other public comments this evening? Seeing none announcements, our town buildings will be closed on Friday, December 29th, and Monday, January 1st, in observance of New Year's. The town council meeting of January 9th. A special town council meeting on January 1st at approximately 12:30 PM or immediately following the swearing-in ceremony of the new council. Chair will recognize or entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Please stay for cake. We have lots of cake.